What's going on? How y'all doing today? My first video today is going to be about Condoleezza Rice. Now, you remember the secretary under George Bush Jr. So she came out on an interview yesterday and she said she doesn't get why the support for the Confederate flag names or the flags. And she spoke about systematic racism and institutionalized racism. Now, Condoleezza Rice is a conservative Republican black woman, African-American woman. And she's had some things that you could say a difference of opinion. However, she came out very forthright yesterday. And during the interview, she spoke up against the Confederate symbols still being used, the names still being used, in different institutions. And she also mentioned about systematic race and institutionalized racism. And she's the proof that you don't have to be a conservative or Republican, etc., and not understand the issues with racism within the system. And often than not, people think they got to go out of their way to justify something, to paint it a certain way, and you don't, And I think there are people who are, if they would identify what the real agenda is, you see. A lot of these funny folks out here put a Trump cap on their head, and it sounds fashionable or cool, but they don't even understand the issues. What are you really supporting, and what does that represent in your life and your means, And I appreciate that Condoleezza Rice went out and spoke out against what she saw is wrong. And she's an African-American woman who grew up in the South, seen a lot of things. And a lot of people forget that because they see her positioning or what she said. But she spoke very intelligently, very dignifiedly, and was hitting home about what she felt. And that's having, and be honest with you right now, if you see anybody that's on the conservative side actually speaking out on some things, because a lot of these people around here want to kiss Trump's behind and treat him like he's Teflon and cover up the misguided, the failed, miserable, the face palm, and the flawness of his agenda, whatever it is, because it don't even make no sense. But it has a lot of Jim Crowisms, has a lot of separatismism, and it has a racist spin and agenda. So I want to give Condoleezza Rice her dap and her props for speaking out against the Confederate symbols, names, etc., still being around, and also talking about systematic and institutionalized racism. She spoke about it, and it was very profound to hear her talk about it, because it does need to be said. Regardless if you agree with her overall agenda, what have you, she's saying something, and that's a lot more than quite a few that ain't saying nothing. All right, give me your thoughts. It takes about Condoleezza Rice talking about the Confederate, what's wrong, talking about the Confederate symbols, and also talking about systematic racism. Hit that like, subscribe, and the bell rings a new video. Wash your hands, keep your mind clear, watch out for one another. And it don't matter what your party is or what have you. If you ain't saying nothing, you ain't doing nothing. You're wasting time. I'm out.